Alright, hello there. I will be doing a video on my talent builds that basically are almost solely for Death Note. So these will be primarily damage pushing builds, while also efficiently getting AFK percentage and trying to throw in any other useful stats I can while not sacrificing too much damage. Um, Hopefully these are helpful. So. I've already reset all my talents. This one is going to be specifically for Bowman, but I will have tidbits on archers as well. Um, One of the main things to note is the difference between basically a primarily damage build and versus, let's say, you're trying to push a mob like Rams or something. Um, is um, you don't need as much AFK damage multiplier to um, cap the mobs. So you can focus your talent points on things that basically increase your max damage. So right now we're sitting at about 60k max, and you can see that's just coming from majority of it gear and such. And I will show you how powerful talents can be. Okay, so first off, tab one. First and foremost, you're gonna want to get Gilded Sword maxed, Sharpen Axe maxed, and Idle Shooting maxed. These will be high priority builds, or high level builds. So, um, have a lot of talent points to spare, basically. Okay, so because we're actually pushing for damage, and this is a Bowman, we also want featherweight maxed. Um, Featherweight, you see its level is 210, but my bubble that affects that level is actually 130 right now. So I could actually pump out more levels from Velocity Vessels. Nice little thing you can do is go to your second preset and level this. I'll just level it all the way because the second preset ain't gonna need. It's a catching preset, and I'll have more than enough points to max out what I can get from catching. Anyway, we go back to the first preset, and there you see featherweight is at its max capacity right now. So we're gonna want that maxed as well. And these will be your primary ways to push damage on the archer for tab 1. Agility also will be very important, but we're going to come back to that as we're going to have agility again from tab 3, boosting it again. And then we'll add utility afterward. For tab 2, um, basically for archer, Kung Fu Kick only increases your AFK damage potential. So it only boosts this number, like your average damage, by a multiplier. It does not help you kill cap a map. So basically, there's a variable called K in the AFK calcing formula, um, and um, it has a variable that basically says how many mobs. It multiplies by how many mobs you kill. You want to get that max with as few points as possible. Um, and generally, if you're doing a full damage build, you'd want it in your third tab because you need less points in your third tab generally for maxing damage. Like, so for Archer, for instance, you need maxed veins, max high polymer limbs, max sanic speed, max garb, max strafe for full damage. So that's like, you know, almost 800, 900 points right there or so. Um, Whereas in tab 3, you only need speed DNA, Agi again are going to be your two primary sources, and then Swifty statues and sometimes Shoe Full of Obel will help a little bit. So we have a lot more points to play with in tab 3, um, as far as maximizing damage goes. So, um, but as far as the tab 2, I'm getting all mixed up myself. Kung Fu Kick only helps damage. Piercing Arrow actually helps with both damage and kills. So piercing arrow would be the one that you want to max out to get your K value, and then have another also it's basically works akin to attacks on Simmer. Um, so right now we are going to go ahead and go full damage, and then we'll see how many points we have left over. So for Bowman again, we got on max strafe, max high polymer limbs, max sanic speed, garb, and veins of the infernal. And you can see it will help. So right now, that's basically all of our primary sources of damage coming through there. And then again, we will come back and focus on utility. But these are going to be your best. This one is going to be your top priority, followed by veins and strafe. I would actually say veins and strafe are equally important. With strafe, it's a little finicky because on Bowman, you want to get within 15 percent increments of speed. So if you are trying to do that, if you're like low on points, then you would basically increase strafe until you get to another speed DNA breakpoint, and then go back to maxing veins of the infernal. And then Sanic Speed and Garb would be your next best. Garb is generally going to outdo Sanic Speed always if you have even remotely reasonable gear. So, like even at like E font gear, I'm pretty sure Garb is just better. So that's tab 2 as far as maxing your multi-kill potential. Tab 3 will be Speed DNA and Agility again would be your main sources. And you can already see that Speed DNA was a massive increase. Swifty Statues is also quite good on specifically Bowman, just because of the speed. On Hunter, it's not as good, the statues talent. So adds a little bit of speed and helps you hit higher breakpoints. Um, and then from there we would go into Shoe Full of Obel. And you see we don't have to use Velocity Vessels on this first preset because we have the next one. Because tab 2 is very, very point greedy and tab 3 isn't, I also recommend going into previous points because now we can start going for utility as we have practically maxed our damage potential as far as these talents go. Um, and we should activate strafe just to show how important strafe can be. So we're at around 8.5, and then boom, massive jump in damage. So now we have extra points to play with. I greatly um, prefer having smelting every day, at least at 120 on archers that are focusing on multi-kill. And the reason why 120 is because that is a breakpoint to get an additional second of forge time. So plus 1 forge seconds. So instead of every it gives 2 seconds, it gives 3. And it is really very strong. Highly underrated. After that, you can technically increase Heme Overdrive for a marginal damage increase. Higher level Bowman can do that. It just up to you. I would rather have Robbing Hood maxed, and then maybe some Kung Fu Kick or Piercing, depending on what I'm doing with my tab 3, before I go for Hema Overdrive, just because it's like very marginal, because basically that damage is going to come from this bubble and this bubble, and it's fine, but it's not tremendous. It's like with tab 2 is the same thing. It's a decent amount of damage, but nothing to um, kill yourself over. If you don't have the points, you don't have the points. So for tab 3, Bowman has homing arrows only increases your damage multiplier, and magic short bow actually increases both your damage multiplier and that K value I was talking about, which basically helps kills. So what we're gonna do is max out. And because I do want to use this preset to kill bosses like a chaotic Keyzor at some point, I actually like maxing homing arrows, but I would only recommend doing that if you have the points to spare. So, because 150 is a pretty big damage boost, you get an extra arrow. So Magic Shortbow is going to be where the majority of our K multiplier comes from. So we'll get ahead and max that because we can. I would also, if you ever plan to run Bowman in dungeons, you can put 1 point in Flex Instastring. Um, and then if you're doing keys or you can max out Whoa, that's fast, helps there. Um, you can use Extendo Rangio if you want. Early on, it's a good source of accuracy. Later on, the use cases of it don't really come up because it doesn't increase your ability ranges enough to make it feel worthwhile to me. But that is just my opinion. Um, yeah, we can get some points into this 6% cooldowns, neat. And I'll show you just how minimal. Like, in fact, we can go to my obols. I have some damage obols on, but right now I'm getting 33 agility. So this talent just isn't going to give much. I mean, you know, 2 points for one agility. It's not. Even if you had max agi obols on, it's like still kind of bad, and also agility obols aren't great. So I don't really recommend going for shoe full of opal unless you have just a tremendous amount of points spare. So yeah, that would be what I would do with the build. Um, None of these other talents really do much for me right now though, so I am going to go into this because every little bit of agility helps for my smelting or my smithing speeds, excuse me. So we'll do that. And then we'll show how powerful agility can be. So we're at 1419 right now. Let's add a good amount more, and boom, you see the massive increase to damage once again because agility is very powerful. Okay, so we have basically maxed out damage potential on this page. This would be the end result of it. On this page, now we have a little bit of room for some more utility. Um, because I shouldn't need much more K multiplier for Magic Shortbow, I can go ahead and use some points up for Robin Hood. Um, and then after that, you have your options. Because I did say, like, again, I'm going to be doing Keyzor with this character. I want to go ahead and put some in Kung Fu Kick, Multi-Hit, and Piercing Arrow, just because I don't have anything particularly useful to put it in. You can go into Focused Soul if you want more Smithing XP. You can go into Yeah, I Already Know if you want some more Smithing XP. I never found them very great because Smithing XP is soft capped at around 2500, and um, Yeah, I Already Know just doesn't feel worth the talent points to me. Again, just my opinion. Godly Creation and Acme Anvil should pretty much always be on your second preset, your skilling preset, just because tab 2 for skilling doesn't do much. So I would recommend not leveling these on your main fighting preset at all. And like I discussed before, Hema Overdrive is something decent, so you can put points in there as well. So we're gonna go ahead and put like 20 points into here because the first actually like 40 points gives you a pretty massive increase to this. So we'll go to 51. Um, then we'll go ahead and give Piercing Arrow a lot of love because Kung Fu Kick again is only just damage. Um, so we'll go ahead and take this to, I believe 60 is when you get a second arrow hit. No, it's not. Oh well. We can put one into Kung Fu Kick just because I like skilling it on the bar. And then yeah, you could save some points. You can put them into Hema Overdrive in case you get higher books and stuff like that. But we're gonna go ahead and just put it into Piercing Arrow and call it good there. So tab 3, tab 2, and now to finish off tab 1 for utility. Um, Maxing Broken Time is one of the best utilities you can get in the game because, as you can see from the smithing speed, it is huge. Incredibly massive bonus. From there, you can, again, HP booster, mana booster, Fist of Rage, and Book of the Wise will give very marginal damage increases. They do exist, but it's just not really what archers focus on. Book of the Wise would also give you a little bit higher brew speed, which in turn is higher alchemy XP. Again, you can do it if you have the points access, but I prefer going into Lucky Clover as you can see a drop rarity and class XP boost go up. This is not insane, but every little bit counts. And that is basically the first three tabs. And that would be basically a damage focused build. Tab. And then the start talents, we would go by your highest class. So my highest class is 217 right now, but and it is my Maestro. So what we'll do is we'll go to 22 on these. As you can see, I didn't get any bonus for that last point, but eventually I will get that bonus, and I like being one step ahead. You're going to want to have TikTok maxed. It's a very powerful ability. For stonks, you want to go to anywhere between 24 and 30. That is the max amount of points you gain from it. I usually just go points per tap, 25, call it a day, because it's a pain in the butt going back and forth. Attacks on Simmer, go ahead and max it, just because if you have the points, and you should. Quest Chungus, again, depends on your quests. I have 140 done in this character. Probably should knock out more. So we'll do 100. You can see my luck increase. And the luck is good for drop rate, so. And then boom, you see no more points gained. So we'll just go to 40 because I can. Same thing, hemo. You want a goblet of hemoglobin maxed because that way you can save your food slots for damage boosting potions. For tab 2, you want to max out your frothy milk. I will never get a 100 roll in this apparently, but you see it increasing my damage as it goes up. Another massive one is Dungeonic damage, and you can just see the damage just keeps going up. Class 6B is nice, just because. So is Mega Crit, but you're not really focusing on getting... Because this isn't a build focused on damage capping, like hard mobs, doesn't really come up. Telekinetic Storage is nice to max for the additional carry cap. You can also max out Milky Way candies if you plan to use it. Or, well, this one doesn't work. Or cardiovascular if you need more cards. I like putting 1 point into this just because I like rolling die. So we have 194 points left. Let's go ahead and max out Mega Crit because I like the talent. And we'll put 1 into these. I like being able to see where my sampling rate is at. And Shrine Architect just so I can move my shrines around on this character. And then the rest will just pump into Milky Way candies. In case it ever comes up that I use it. And yeah, that would be basically my star talent page on this character as well. And if you mess up your star talents, or if you need more star talents, you can always max out star player and then reset. You'll get an extra amount of star talents for that. So yeah, and as you saw, we went from, I believe it was about 60k to 17.2 mil without shrines. So yeah, you want to max out your movement speed as much as possible. So right now, my next breakpoint for speed DNA would be 310. It's reachable, but it would take a little bit more commitment than just maxing out the talents. But doable. I could, swap some stuff around and get there. Agility is also really strong if you can get it high enough. The production speed is very good. So, and then strafe can never be downrated. Going from 12 to 17 mil is just massive for one ability. Um, so yeah, hopefully that helped out people. That is basically how I would build my Bowman, and I will be doing this for each of the classes. I actually just pulled them all into town to do that. So thanks for watching, and that is what I do for the talents.